Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Mark.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark, a.k.a. Derringer. Today is Sunday, April 15th, and you are listening to episode 152 of the Instant Action Podcast, your weekly source for Planetside 2 news and information. As always, I'm brought to you by great listeners like you via the Support the Show tab on instantactionpodcast.com. First off, as you guys can hear, my voice is getting pretty close to being back to normal. I feel like I'm finally over the flu. What a horrible week. I mean, I've been sick basically all week. You guys heard me last week. I was pretty bad off, but I mean, I got even worse than that. Finally went to the doctor on Tuesday, and yeah, sure enough, have the flu. Got an inhaler, to stave off any pneumonia and stuff like that. My wife actually got pneumonia, so she's been sick with it as well. But I'm definitely feeling better. I'm still a little tired and stuff like that, but I have been playing a bit more Planetside 2. I really didn't play any of it the first half of the week, but by Thursday I was definitely back in playing. Thursday, Friday I played a bit. I've held off on live streaming though because my voice still is not 100%. I am still subject to long bouts of coughing. And some of it's pretty violent. I don't want to subject my viewers on stream to that, but don't worry, I'll be back to it soon enough. The good news is I did make affiliate on Twitch this past week, so you guys can start donating bits to me and things like that. So that's going to be an added bonus. So big thank you to everybody who helped me get to that affiliate status on Twitch. Like I said, I do appreciate it, and I will definitely do some more streaming once I'm back to 100%. I did also do my ASP perk thing, majig, checked off and did ASP on Derringer, so my NC character has ascended, I guess, via ASP at this particular point. I know I posted it on Twitter and asked you guys to guess what I spent my first point on, and no one was able to guess it because I spent my first point on nothing. I haven't spent it yet. I'm kind of sitting on it, waiting to hit BR25, and then once I earn that second point, I think I'll be a little more less reluctant, I guess, to purchase that first point, that ASP point. There's certainly a bunch of different things that I could spend it on. I mean, I'm leaning towards perhaps LMGs on the engineer, or I also am really looking at the heavy weapons on the heavy assault as well. I wouldn't mind using LMG in the main slot and maybe and the jackhammer in the secondary slot, even though I know some people think that's cheese. There's certainly a bunch of options, and I really can't make up my mind at this particular junction in time. So like I said, I did sit on it. I haven't spent it yet, but I do think I'll spend it once I hit BR25 on the first go around. I haven't gotten to it yet because I haven't played enough, like I said before. But other than that, everything's going great for me. So what's in store for this week's show? Well, first we have a PTS update to talk about because it brought some highly discussed C4 and Prowler changes to the game. Then I want to give some attention to the Planetside Discord server that you may not even know about, and then finish up with 2 membership-related topics. All that plus a double dose of listener email to talk about this week. So strap in as we hot drop into another episode of the Instant Action Podcast. So first up, like I said, April 13th, there was a PTS update. It wasn't a huge one, but like I said, did bring a couple interesting things to the game itself. First off, Coltier. Coltier has been renamed to Coltier VR, Coltier Virtual Reality. And also on Coltier, you can now purchase ESFs and Valkyries and fly them around on Cold Tier. So I know that was something a lot of people had been asking for, not being able to get an ESF or a Valkyrie on Cold Tier kind of ruined some people's flight practice or whatnot. So worth noting that you can actually do that again now on Cold Tier. Moving on to infantry, though, and this is the first big change. C4 has gotten a change on the PTS. Now, what you must do now is hold down on your fire button for 0.4 seconds before the detonation will actually trigger on C4 now. Basically, what this is designed to do is to reduce the surprise lethality of C4. So by introducing this delay on triggering the detonation, it's going to achieve it by basically, you got to hold down that trigger and hold it down to actually fire it, which is going to prevent any fake button press attempts from taking place. And the goal here is to really commit the user to triggering the detonation. And as always, the devs are looking for feedback regarding this change. One side of me likes this change, another side doesn't like this change. The light assault side of me doesn't like it, because even now I find that there are times when I'm throwing that C4 and I'm spamming that mouse button for it to go off and it's not going off. I think it's going to take me some time to get used to holding down the fire button for that 0.4 seconds. But again, the other side of me thinks that C4 is a little too lethal currently right now in the game. I mean, if it gets even anywhere near you, it feels like you're just dead and have no chance to survive it. At least with adding that 0.4 second detonation time to it, if you see the C4 come flying at you, it's going to give you a chance to perhaps try and get away from it or get out of its range without getting insta-gibbed by it. Not that I really want to make maxes more powerful than they already are, but there's certainly times when I'm playing in a max suit and that C4 goes off and I'm like, I had no time to react to it. I saw it coming at me and had zero time to do anything about it. At least this would give a heads up player a chance to try and get away from it. And again, I definitely think that C4 is a little too OP in its current state. So I'm not dissatisfied with this change overall. Again, when I play more light assault, maybe, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm okay with this change, but we'll see if this actually makes it to live or not. Next, moving along, though, vehicle changes, and as I said at the beginning of the show, this is Prowler specific, so Terran Republic main battle tank. They've basically removed anchor mode from the Prowler. It's now integrated into the Prowler by default. So, in the past, you used to actually have to cert into anchor mode. So you don't have to cert into it anymore. You're actually going to be able to use it all times on a Prowler. And it's no longer going to increase your reload speed. Instead, it's going to give you its velocity bonus has been increased from 30% to 50%. And instead of the anchor mode being a separate cert line itself, now they added a new ability in the utility slot called Barrage. And basically what Barrage is going to do, it's going to increase reload speed by 30% for 15 seconds at max rank. And this can be used while it's on the move or in conjunction with anchor mode. While it's currently on the test server, it only has one rank. But that 30% reload speed for 15 seconds is intended to be the maximum effective rank of the ability when it does actually come to live itself. So, I mean, I would expect something like a 10% reload speed, for 15 seconds to start, or who even knows what those are actually going to be. But I would expect 4 or 5 different ranks of Barrage, with rank 5 ultimately being that 30% increase for 15 seconds. I'm hoping that they're also going to give it some kind of interesting particle effect. They said the particle effect, the icon, and audio are all placeholders currently, so those will definitely change. Because I'd like to be able to see specifically when a Prowler launches its Barrage utility, so that I know that they're going to get an increased reload speed. And the one question that a lot of players have is, what's going to happen to all the certs that I've spent on Anchor Mode? If you've spent certs on Anchor Mode and these changes actually do come to life, ultimately, you get your certs refunded to you. That's all that you're going to get. Anything more is ridiculous, so I don't know why people would expect more than that. So really the dev notes on this is that they feel that Anchor Mode has become really just a niche that most players don't use. Much different than the Mag Riders, Mag Burner, or the Vanguard Shield. People use those constantly. And when they line all three modes up in similar situations, they're finding that Anchor Mode was used so rarely in the wild that it only makes sense to do something like this. And they don't want to take it away because certainly some people enjoy using Anchor Mode and have found that niche to use Anchor Mode. So they don't want to take it away completely. So again, adding that barrage ability kind of changes it up a little bit as well. And with the Anchor Mode strictly increasing velocity now, it's going to make it so that it can still be a long-range artillery platform type deal when it's in Anchor Mode. And again, Barrage, you're able to reload while you're on the move, so that's kind of interesting as well. As with the C4 changes, they'd love feedback on this one as well. And I know that quite a few people have already put posts on Reddit with their experience regarding Barrage and the new Prowler as it stands on PTS, so feel free to add your comments to that. In addition to the Prowler, they added the M12 Siege Breaker to the game. Now, if you remember, the Siege Breaker is in the same vein as the NC's Paladin, which is on the test server. These were originally thought of as going to be new weapons for the Sunderers, and it doesn't look like they've ever made it to that point in the game. But the Siege Breaker right now is available as a Prowler Top Gun for people to play around with on the test server. The intention of the Siege Breaker is to fill a mid-range gap in the TR Top Gun arsenal, and eventually it's going to go on a Harasser variant as well, but right now there is no ETA on when they're going to release it. It's just out there for people to hop on test and play around with to see if it's a viable option. Moving on from infantry and vehicles to construction, though, the Cordium silo, they've added a drain of 2 Cordium per second, and that's basically because a lot of times silos were out sitting there and not decaying because nothing's pulling Cordium from them. This small drain will allow them to eventually destroy themselves when they're not tended to. It makes sense. You don't need silos just sitting out there doing nothing. They added some changes to the flail. They reduced its cone of fire minimum to 0.1. They changed its cone of fire maximum to 0.25. And they increased the indirect damage from 350 to 500. And they also doubled its gravity. And it's also now firing almost immediately after it detects its target. So the reason that for these changes is because they felt that the flail was a bit too easy to escape from. And even when standing still, the damage dealt was really inconsistent. So by reducing the cone of fire to be more consistent and ramped up the damage to make it more lethal, it should be tougher to get away from it and also survive it if it does hit you. Now, because they've made these changes, they also had to make changes to the flail's targeting dart. It's now using a heat mechanic with a cooldown of 10 seconds. So basically, there's a cooldown so that you can't spam it as much now that the flail's projectile is more lethal than it was before. They also made some changes to the orbital strike. The knockback effect of orbital strike is now going to affect players indoors, but it's not going to damage them directly. For the time being, any vehicles or maxes that are indoors are going to receive the full brunt of the explosion, but that will be adjusted in a later update. And finally, the Xiphos Phalanx turret, while unmanned and affected by an AI module, they had some cone of fire attributes modified to it. So first, the cone of fire maximum was increased to 2 from 1.1, that minimum, sorry, and the cone of fire maximum was increased to 3 from 2. And that's the PTS update itself in a nutshell. I'm curious what people's thoughts are on C4 and Prowler changes. Like I said, I've been reading through a lot of what people have written about the Prowler, and overall, I haven't seen too much negativity about these changes, so I kind of would expect these things to come to live pretty quickly based on the response that we've seen. But again, as always, download the PTS and go test these things out yourself if you want to see your feedback heard before changes like this come live. So the second topic this week is the Planetside 2 Discord, which I said at the beginning of the show. If you're not familiar with Discord, Discord is a chat service. It's both an app and it's also a desktop application. But basically, it's free voice and text chat for gamers. That's what Discord bills itself as. So most people use it as a chat service, but it does also have some built-in voice server usage as well. I know my group that plays WoW, we use Discord for doing stuff rather than TeamSpeak and things like that. I don't know many Planetside 2 outfits that use Discord over TeamSpeak or something like that, but I'm sure that there's some out there. But like I said, most people use it for a chat service more than anything else, and a way to disseminate information. You can include links, you can include videos, you can include pictures, all kinds of stuff like that. But Planetside 2 has a Discord server. And the website is discord.me/planetside, and basically it's open for anybody to join. You can indicate what outfit you're a part of. You can indicate what server that you play on, things like that. Discord is a good way. Some people despise Reddit. I like Reddit personally. I get a lot of my information from Reddit, and not just the Planetside Reddit, from all kinds of Reddits. But some people prefer to use Discord, and there's people on Discord constantly. Like I said, you can get a phone app for it, and you can be up on Discord all day. If you've got nothing else to do, you can sit and chat with people on your phone or whatnot. Some people have it open constantly on their desktop and are chatting and stuff like that in it. But again, it's just another way to disseminate information about Planetside 2 to the community. So, I mean, the Planetside 2 Discord has, mentors for all different aspects of the game. There's announcement sections for events like Planetside Battles, for Open League, for pickup games. There's places that you can find an outfit, people advertising for outfits and things like that. Basically, it's another resource for Planetside 2 players that if you haven't downloaded it and you use Discord a lot, you should go on this and check it out. Again, just to get additional information about the game or get additional help with the game. Everybody there's been really friendly from what I've seen so far. So there's that bonus as well. Especially if you're a new player, Discord might be a great resource for you to hop in and try and get some information about the game. But lately, people like Rel have been popping into the Discord as well. Like there was a post last week about Rel was talking about information about some of the upcoming implants in Discord. And he was talking about the Gunslinger implant that's coming in particular, how it's going to give faster reloads on pistol kills, and perhaps the 5th rank is going to give a 50% weapon swap time reduction. And he was also talking about the Mending Field implant, which is coming, and the 5th rank will allow shield regen bubbles to heal allies up to a certain amount of health. He also talked about how the Minor Cloak implant is going to receive some improvement when the new implant wave hits. They talked about how the passive reloading of the rocket launcher could become a munitions pouch perk rather than its own implant. They talked about a reverse carapace idea thrown out. Carapace obviously doubles your health, whereas a reverse carapace would be you only have shields. He also revealed that old unused outfits will be purged from the game once the outfits themselves get overhauled, and also that they're talking about increasing the limit for character slots to per account may be raised to 12 slots per account. So again, there's all kinds of interesting information that you could get by joining the Discord and getting information from the developers directly. So again, more than anything, I just wanted to make people aware of this. It's something that I check out pretty much daily and get information for the game from. And as you can see, even the developers over at Planetside 2 are on this as well, disseminating information. So again, you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you use Discord and you're not a member of the Planetside 2 Discord. Next up, this topic in the one after is I want to talk about some membership stuff, because membership has been on my mind recently. I pay for membership each month, and sometimes I wonder if I'm not getting enough. And I agree. I do think that I'm not getting enough for my membership currently in Planetside 2, and maybe that's not what the devs want to hear, or everybody over at Daybreak Games wants to hear, but I'm a Planetside 2 player. I don't play any of the other Daybreak games. I don't play H1Z1. I don't play DCUO. I don't play EverQuest. So the all-access membership feels a little wasted on me. Sure, I mean, I get the 500 Daybreak cash, and that's good, because I certainly use it. But other than that, and so the Daybreak cash is what I get out of it, and I also get the priority continent switching, which in all honesty is huge. Trying to play, I think I played a week without membership once, and not being able to get on continent quickly really drove me batty. So that's probably the biggest perk that I get out of membership, and probably the real reason that I currently purchase membership. Now, on top of that, I get 10% off items in the depot. That doesn't mean as much to me. So, like I said, and what else do you get? You get the extra character slots, and you also get the extra loadout slots. So, sure, those are good. So, I mean, I do get something for being a member, but I've been a member now since basically 2012. And when people talk about how much money you've spent in the game, I mean, I don't want to sit down and calculate it, but I mean, if it's $180 a year for membership, rounding up, and then you add in all the times I've purchased station cash to buy all the annual bundles that come out, and then, I mean, if you really want to get into it, I've paid to go to SOE Live twice now. So, I mean, ticket to SOE Live plus airfare, hotel, all kinds of that stuff. I mean, I've spent a lot on Planetside 2 specifically at this point in time. And I'm getting to the point now where membership needs to give more. And one of the topics recently on Reddit was making an update to the member early access items. And kind of buried in this is that potentially they're going to allow the people making things for Planetside 2 in Player Studio, give them the ability to make member-only items or tweaked items just for members. And while that's all well and good, I think updating the member early access items section itself would kind of be a big deal for Daybreak Games. And I feel like it's not heavy lifting to do something like this. I mean, right now we have access to the same pink bumper for the harasser that's been there for 4 years now. And the only other thing that we have access to is some solid color camos, of which I'm not going to purchase any of them. Because let's be honest, the only ones I need are the pink camo, which I have. I need my dollar bills camo, which I have, and I need my gold coins camo, which I have. So I'm one of the people who's not going to purchase anything from that early access item section. So I really would like to see Daybreak Games consider revamping that early access items section to give us access to some items a little bit earlier than other people. Maybe platinum variants of other weapons, or who knows? I think it's time that member early access item section gets a complete revamp. Even if you give us a week's access to, new armors that people put into the game, anything like that, make that early access section a little more enticing to members like me who have been members a long time. I have absolutely no reason to go into that screen anymore because I'm not going to purchase anything from there. And it's kind of a slap in the face to keep the same stuff in there constantly with no rotation of anything. Bring us some new stuff there. Give us something new that makes us feel special as members that other people don't have access to. I mean, that pink bumper really doesn't do it for me. With that, let's move to the fourth topic. And again, this fourth topic also kind of piggybacks on the previous one. And there was also a post asking to give members better alert drops. And this is another one that I am all 100% for. This shouldn't be too difficult a thing to include in the game itself. I mean, right now, if you win your alert, obviously you're going to get your ISO 4 and you're going to get some sort of item within the game itself, whether it's a decal or a boost or who knows what. Right now, I think if you're a member, the easiest thing to do would be to double the amount of drops that you're getting from alerts. I mean, give us the ability to get 2 decals or the ability to get a boost in a decal, or even increase the percentage chance for us to get something like the Derringer pistol or the Showdown or the ability to get Nick's tropical camo on Hassan. Just, give us some sort of bonus for being a member and winning the actual alert itself. Double the amount of ISO 4 that we receive. I think just giving us something additional for being members is the way to go. And it would be a way to make more people become members. It's just, you can do something more and give a little bit more for someone who's a member when the alert kicks off and the alert is won specifically. Again, no reason not to double the amount of alert, the drops. And would it stir up a pay to win argument? No, I don't think so, because obviously you're just dropping boosts and decals, which is something that anybody can ultimately go and purchase. Maybe they could add some other items that are member specific. That would be interesting. But again, just doing something simple like doubling the drops would be huge and a good nod to members as well. Again, I don't want to beat this membership stuff into the ground too much. So let's move on to housekeeping this week, because I do have a couple emails to cover.
Housekeeping.
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping.
Not now.
Housekeeping.
Go away.
I coming anyway?
Like I said, this week I got a pair of emails to talk about. First one came from Matt9, and Matt9 wrote, Derringer, I hope you're feeling better this week. I was surprised to see ASP hit live so fast as well. I waited a few days, but eventually ASP'd. The SMG secondary from my light assault has been amazing, allowing me to carry a close quarters SMG and something with a bit more reach for longer shots. And when I go black on ammo, I have another non-sidearm weapon right there. It almost feels too good until I drop a few Vanu, then it feels really fine. I also feel like I have seen a higher population this past week and better battles, even during off times. I hope the ASP has brought back some players who see how fun the game can be. Thanks again for your awesome weekly podcast. Matt9, yeah, I agree. I have seen a lot of players come back into the game that I haven't seen before. A lot of low BR players, so you know that they're all ASPing like I am. I definitely considered doing the SMG secondary on my light assault as well. But again, like I said at the beginning of the show, I just haven't spent that point yet, because if there was an easy reset option, if they had introduced a reset button right in the beginning, then sure, I probably would have spent it and not worried about it. But the fact that there isn't a reset in the game yet, that's the other thing that's making me hold off. So yeah, thanks for the email, Matt. Next, I also got an email from Robo from Ghost of the Revolution, and he wrote, Hey, Derringer, figured I would send you an email for your show this week. Hope I can spur some thought and discussion going forward. And he wrote, number 1, after having a chance to catch up on podcast episodes, I heard the story about Warpaint and his implant woes. I wonder how we all would feel about some way to either purchase implants directly or to purchase recipes for implants. Maybe you could get a blueprint or recipe for carapace that requires a certain amount of more common implants like battle hardened, and you can turn in 10 times battle hardened into carapace with the recipe you buy from the depot. Alternatively, a game called Warframe has an interesting mechanic to unlock certain items. It gives you a challenge you must complete before unlocking. So imagine purchasing a logistics specialist recipe in the store for either certs or Daybreak Cash and then being told you will unlock this implant once you have achieved an Araxium medal for the Naginata or once you have roadkilled 100 people in an ant. So it doesn't straight out give you the implant. You have to work for it. But you don't have to deal with the RNG of spending $300 on implant packs. You buy a recipe, then it's up to you to finish the challenge or find the ingredients. And he says, number 2, construction. I understand you're not big into construction, no problem. However, with the router and the Pain Spire and Flail and some other construction items coming to live in the future, we will see more small, specialized groups of buildings instead of a large sprawl of walls, turrets, and modules like we have now. I envision a building with a spawn tube in it and a router used as a secondary spawn. The problem is the Cordium silo. It's huge, and sometimes you don't need a huge silo. You just want like 3 buildings. On live, I've built just an AI module, glaive, and silo so I could siege down an enemy sky shield, and I don't feel like I need to go through the several steps of ant harvest, find location, put down silo, build, ... It just takes too long. I would like to see certain items hold a small amount of cordium on their own or draw from a nearby ant, just a small amount. You wouldn't be able to power a large base on it, but you could deploy a flail and an AI module, or you could deploy a pillbox or bunker with an Elysium spawn tube, so you don't have to make this giant fortress or draw too much attention to it. Alternatively, maybe a much smaller silo option that can't hold much, but could also fit inside a building. Again, you won't be able to build a bunch of walls and turrets. This is for throwing up a bunker or a glaive or a flail. It's risky. You can get isolated and killed because you won't have walls and turrets. But the upside is you don't have to build walls and turrets to defend the silo. That was a lot. Sorry. Looking forward to the next IAP, Robo. So, yeah, that was a lot, Robo. But I've thought the same thing, talking about the implant stuff first. I've thought a lot of the same thing, that it would be interesting to tie implants to directives or some such. You know, if you finish the first round of the infiltrator directive, you get the infiltrator implant, or same thing with the combat medics or things like that. I've seen a lot of people complaining about getting a specific class implant right now, and that wouldn't be a bad way to do it. Turning in 10 of one to get another one, I don't know how I really feel about that. That seems a little too easy, especially when you're talking about turning 10 into one of those special uncommon ones. Maybe turning 10 into a normal one that you don't have might make sense, but maybe you need to turn like 50 into a tougher one. I don't know, but certainly something. Even if you give members the option to do something like that, could be interesting. As for your construction, you're right. I'm not big into construction, but that being said, I'm certainly interested in seeing all the things coming to the game. I mean, just allowing orbital strikes to hit anywhere on the map is huge, and something that should have been in the beginning. And I'm curious to see how the router and flail are both going to work in the game themselves. I mean, Robo, you and I both know how it worked in the original Planetside, so should be interesting when it comes to Planetside 2. But I think that's about all the talking that I can do this week with this voice, so that's going to be it for this week's show. But how can you get in touch with me or the show? As always, visit my website, www.instantactionpodcast.com. Email me, instantactionshow@gmail.com, like Matt and I and Robo both did. Call me, leave me a voicemail, 347-4VM-4PS2 or 347-486-4772. Follow the show on Twitter @InstActPodcast or follow me on Twitter @TheDerringer. But in closing, if you've enjoyed the show, please leave me a review on your podcast listening avenue of choice, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere else. Also, feel free to tell your friends and outfit mates about the show. And finally, thanks for listening, and keep spamming that Join Combat, formerly known as Instant Action button.
Get your arms combined.